We think when we post something on a platform, we think the whole world is watching us. I always say to people, shut your eyes and post.
Welcome to Reimagining You, the podcast where we explore how today's leaders evolve beyond roles and titles to build influence, impact, and personal brands that stand the test of time. Today's guest is someone who exemplifies strategic reinvention, Elie Daher.
I understand what works with my audience, what people appreciate. I start to make sure that I plan ahead with my content and start producing things that resonate with people.
Everybody thinks that with AI, I'll generate a post, put it on, and the world would listen to them. I have posts that really gets not much of an engagement. I get posts that go viral. You never know. All I know is I have to stay authentic. It's true stories, genuine connection, and from the heart.
Part of what we're doing is putting ourselves out there, and we just have to get that courage, and it may feel cringeworthy, but it's important. We need to move with the times, and that is
Absolutely.
Building our own profiles on the way. Transformation at its heart is all about people, and it's all about mindset and all about motivation.
One thing that stops them to be out in the open is the fear. So I think fear dominates us all.
Fear is one of the underlying aspects that determine the transformation journey. We find it really hard to give things up because we get hooked onto something. So what are you prepared to give up to be successful in the thing that you want to do?
Welcome to Reimagining You, the podcast where we explore how today's leaders evolve beyond roles and titles to build influence, impact, and personal brands that stand the test of time. I'm your host, Dr. Elie Daher. Today's guest is someone who exemplifies strategic reinvention, Elie Daher. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
She occupied previous roles in the corporate world, such as Chief Operating Officer, Head of Digital Transformation, you name it, she has it. However, Elie's journey spans global industries, scale-up ventures, and high-impact transformation roles, from Group COO at ADSS to Head of Digital Transformation at ADCB, and most recently, as a co-founder and investor in Serves Gourmet. I'd like to check that one out. She brings a rare mix: Oxford-trained classic scholar, certified strategist, startup investor, and champion of psychological safety and inclusion in the boardroom. So today, we're not just exploring Elie's impressive track record, we're diving into her why, her leadership philosophy, and how she balances innovation, inclusion, and identity as an expat parent raising third culture's kids in the UAE. Elie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to meet you in person.
Perfect. Pleasure is ours. I had to Google what is third culture kids. And actually, then my kids qualify to that, right? So how did this term is a common use term in the industry or in the world here?
Yeah, I believe it's a really common use term. I came across it before my kids became third culture kids. And what an amazing experience our children are having.
Yes.
Growing up in different cultures, surrounded by people from all over the world.
This is expat kids where this UAE is not their home country, but they grow up in a third country, I would say, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my kids are now understanding that they're not from the Emirates. So they were born in Qatar, raised in the UAE, but they're from the UK.
Perfect. My kids have a similar kind of journey between Asia, Middle East, US. We're Lebanese originally, like Canadians, and living in the UAE. So what a wonderful experience for our children, huh?
Yeah, really, really special.
So thanks for being on the show. Something caught my eye while I was researching, and I had to research you a little bit, right? And you impressed me in the Ultramarathon. I can barely run 10 kilometers, and you have taken one night a decision to run an Ultramarathon in Kazakhstan on these rugged mountains.
Yeah.
Ultramarathon is about 100 kilometers, where I think a month or two before that, you injured yourself in a half marathon. Give me some color around that. What's the decision like?
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. I think for me, every now and again, I need to do something that really pushes me and maybe scares me a bit. And also that gives me a sense of freedom. It gives me an opportunity to get away and to give myself space. And this came up, it sounded like a great thing to do until I arrived there and I looked at all the other people who were extremely lithe and athletic. And I thought, what am I doing here? I'm in the wrong place. It was an amazing experience to push your body beyond the boundaries of what you've done before, to lean into pain. And also for me, I came last. And that was an incredibly humbling experience, but also something I'm so proud of.
And
because
rewarding, of course.
I could have given up.
Yeah. Because you had your doubt on the first day and you start wondering, what am I doing here? I have this feeling every time I go, because I'm a newborn triathlete, right?
Oh, wow.
And I have the same feeling. What am I doing here? I'm going to go swim and run and cycle, and why? The question is always why, right?
Yeah. Well, I recommend to anyone, even if you can't run it, go and walk it, go and have that experience, go and escape anywhere to give your brain that space to think and recreate.
Absolutely. And this is done over a day or multiple days?
It's over multiple days, so there were 3 stages.
Okay.
Definitely the second stage was the most dismal for me.
Okay, because you've done the first day and then now you're in the middle. Should I go back and just go to the coffee shop or, take that pain again?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you learn from it? I mean, obviously you have shown your true colors during that race, right? Or I call it race or a run, right? The true colors about grit, resilience, pain taking, Describe the feeling. I'm really intrigued because I that's probably one of my dreams,
Yeah, well, I learned that I'm very stubborn. And when all the race officials were trying to get me to quit, I learned that when I want to do something, I can really do it. I learned that I can do things that I'm afraid of. I learned also that I can do things that I'm not ready for. And your body and your mind can do extraordinary things when you give it the opportunity.
Wonderful, wonderful. Here you are, our viewers and listeners. There's nothing, nothing impossible. Where there is a will, there is a way, as Shakespeare said, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about the 10-step process of personal branding from my book, Reimagining You. The first step in anything is mission. Now, I know over the years you have started somewhere and then you're ending up somewhere else. So your mission is changing, evolving. And I think now you're embarking on a great new mission, which is starting your portfolio career. So can you elaborate a little bit? What is your mission? What is Holly's mission going forward?
Yeah, so I think of it as a thread actually at the moment because I am in this transition phase where I'm moving to a portfolio career. So my mission at the moment is to help leaders and founders scale their business. It's as simple as that.
Very nice, very nice. That's a wonderful mission because everybody needs that, right? And with your talent, with your experience, I think you'll be great fit for, especially in the UAE, where it is really a good ecosystem here for founders and leaders to grow and innovate, right?
Yeah.
So you'll help them quite a bit on the startup journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when I think about my journey of doing startup, scale-ups, transformation, the skills that I bring from all of those are actually very similar. And whether you're a founder or a leader going through transformation, you're actually experiencing quite similar things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. We wish you good luck with the mission. The next point in the process is your uniqueness, right? What makes you different? What makes you credible, claim authority? Now, I looked at your LinkedIn. Maybe your LinkedIn didn't give you justice, right? What makes you so credible and give you the authority to talk about digital, to talk about startup, to talk about these things? Because you've graduated from Oxford, maybe a bit more on the classic side. You've got some work in a couple places here, but what makes you so credible? Why should I come to you?
Well, I have the lived experience, and that's what people keep saying to me when they read what I write on LinkedIn. They know that I've been in those boardrooms. They know that I've been in those leadership settings. And what gives me the authority to be able to talk about things is that I've actually experienced and had those very difficult conversations with people. And the one thing that I think I can do in terms of uniqueness is look at an organization systemically, or look at a problem and be objective about it and understand all the different moving parts. I don't have siloed thinking. And when you think about the degree I did, classics, obviously it's Latin and Greek, but philosophy was a huge aspect of that. I was talking about AI back in the 90s because I was thinking and involved in philosophy of mind and thinking about consciousness. And so my critical thinking, the skills that I learned when I was at Oxford, having to sit in front of a tutor and talk about these things, they're the skills that I've used throughout my career, and it's been a thread all the way through.
Nice. And, your voice, the way you attain is so soothing and convincing at the same time. So I like the tones of your LinkedIn post. I like, your discussion. So you picked up a signature voice, and that's what the third step in the process is, really identify the signature voice of how you're going to communicate the message and what relates to your personality versus how you communicate. And I think you're brilliant in doing that. So congratulations.
Well, that's very, very kind of you. And to be honest, and if it's reassuring to other people, it's taken me a while to have the confidence of finding my own voice. And I've tried different things, and I'd really encourage people to experiment as much as possible. And my voice now reflects my authentic, I don't like using that word so much, it's a bit overused, but my natural style is to be questioning, is to be curious, is to be a little bit challenging and to make people uncomfortable. But it's taken me a while to have the confidence to do that on a public platform.
But, you run an ultramarathon, right? So you had the confidence, you have the willpower, you have the grit, you have everything. So nothing is impossible for Holly, right?
Well, it's a work in progress, let's put it that way.
Okay, good. Then we finished your mission, you crafted it nicely, you're moving towards that. You have your uniqueness and you talked about it, claimed your voice. Now we're going to activate that, right? We're going to go out to the open. We talked a little bit about LinkedIn. That's the digital platform of today. And you said you're trying to find confidence into going LinkedIn. What sort of challenges you're finding to go out and be in the digital space?
Yeah, I think we think when we post something on a platform, we think the whole world is watching us. And I always say to people, shut your eyes and post. Just shut your eyes and post. And, many of my posts in the beginning got zero traction. No one looked at them. I was singing in an empty stadium. Yeah. But more and more they get traction, and I understand what works with my audience, what people appreciate. And I start to make sure that I plan ahead with my content and start really producing things that resonate with people. And I feel like I've got into that place now.
Very good. And I want to quote my previous guest, Lama. She is they label her the podcast queen. And she's done wonderful things around the podcast area, around the media, communication. And she said something very important. It's not about the number of followers you have. It's about the engagement. So gearing up to your audience, knowing who is your audience and gearing up authentic messages to your audience, that's what's important. Because there's so many noise on LinkedIn. And, I've written a post around the noise, that especially with AI now. Everybody thinks that with AI, I'll generate a post, put it on, and the world would listen to them. LinkedIn is not, it's very smart, right? They pick up who's authentic and who's not. And really, it's really about credibility, authenticity, and human touch. Yeah. And you could have millions, like some of them, but if you look at the number of likes, it's probably 500. So if you take the percentage of that, it's 0.00. But if you have 5,000 or 10,000, I don't know how many followers you have, and if you have 100 likes, that's 1%. If you're, So your engagement is much better because you have targeted audience and targeted followers. So continue on that path. This is great. I'm also learning on LinkedIn. I have posts that really gets not much of an engagement. I got posts that go viral. You never know. All I know is I have to stay authentic. It's true stories, genuine connection, and from the heart, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we can't pretend that it's not gratifying when you have a lot of followers. And I'm so grateful to the people who do follow me. But above all, it really is about, for me, getting authority and gaining that trust that people then want to work with me, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help leaders and founders. And that's part of the reason why I want to have this voice on the platform.
Very good. What else you use in terms of digital media? Any tricks, any advice to our audience other than LinkedIn?
Well, I'll be looking for tricks and advice. I have not yet really dipped my toe into TikTok, but I really believe that there's an opportunity here. I think particularly in this region. I think for the audience that I'm trying to reach, the decision makers in the region, I'm not convinced that they're on LinkedIn. I think a lot of them are on TikTok. And I need to challenge myself and do something brave and uncomfortable and explore a new platform. So I'm just looking at it, trying to get some lessons from some people who are quite a bit younger than me. But I've got some learning to do there. And for me to work with the leaders that I want to work with, I need to adapt and move platforms as well.
TikTok is a good platform to be, and it's not only going to learn from the younger generation. There's some senior people that would be there. I'm one of them. I'm going to be on TikTok starting next month.
Oh, we'll learn from each other then.
Yes, exactly. So I'm launching the TikTok channel soon. So it'll be a great experience. It's a humbling experience because you have to really focus on a 30-second to a 1-minute message. And because people like to, just go through and flip, right? So your message has to be really crystal clear and resonate to your audience. So yeah, it's a different mindset altogether.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with the 30, 60-second videos on LinkedIn. I have to say, when I first did a video, I died a bit inside. But, part of what we're doing is putting ourselves out there, and we just have to get that courage, and it may feel cringeworthy, but it's important. We need to move with the times, and that is Absolutely. Building our own profiles on the way.
Absolutely, and I always use that sentence, unlearn to relearn. I had to unlearn quite a bit of old baggage that doesn't serve me anymore now, and relearn the new ways to stay modern and embrace the new technologies and ways, right? And I'm sure you'll probably try to do the same. What worked before would not work here today, yeah?
Yeah, sometimes. And there's something that I say when I take leaders on a transformation journey is that you have a choice. You have a choice either to commit to the transformation and let go of what you know, or commit to what you know and let go of the transformation. So which is it you're going to do? And we need to challenge ourselves with the same.
I like that. Can we dig into that a bit? Because what you do now is you've done digital transformation. You've advised companies around embracing this. But I guess the digital transformation is around technologies, processes, systems, or what else you cover around the digital transformation?
I'll let you into a secret. Okay. I don't really like calling transformation digital transformation or cost transformation or revenue transformation. Okay. It's just transformation, because transformation in its essence is systemic. It covers the whole organization. Technology is a supporting act. AI is a tool. And so I always get a bit nervous when leaders approach me and say, give me a list of AI use cases. No, let's start with the problems that we're trying to solve. What's the problem statement? What are we trying to do here? AI might be the solution for that. But transformation at its heart is all about people, and it's all about mindset and all about motivation. And I know that you're very interested in culture, and culture is absolutely at the heart of any change story, because you and I as individuals have to commit to that change story. The technology can do whatever we need the technology to do. It's about whether we want to commit on that change journey and whether we're understanding what it is that our customers want that delivers value for them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And why do you think we have challenges today with people not committing to journeys, especially around transformation? Do you have 1 or 2 points that you can share? Because I'm so curious about it.
Yeah, well, I think there are definitely books that can be written on this. So one thing is fear guides us all a lot in what we do in our lives and within organizations as well. We're afraid of change. We're afraid of what it might mean for us. It might mean something for our job security. We are afraid of learning new things or letting go of the things that we've known in the past. So I think fear is one of the underlying aspects that determine the transformation journey.
Definitely, and I think fear is one of the aspects of any change that a human person goes through. I mean, I look at personal branding and I talk to people, they're sitting in their comfort trap in a corporate world behind a business card, title, and a nice company name. They have a fear of going out in the open and be visible and claiming their value. Because everybody working in the corporate world today, I'm sure they have a value, otherwise they won't be employed. They have a certain skill, they have a certain knowledge, they have, they could claim some thought leadership around 1 or 2 or 3 subjects, yet nobody knows about them except their company. And it's their own value, it's their own assets, right? And the one thing that stops them to be out in the open is the fear. So I think fear dominates us all. I mean, when I first started the podcast, it was a really scared moment because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. So very good point.
Well, you've been very courageous in facing up to that fear. So
yes,
I haven't quite lent into that one.
Well, that's what we learn when we are athletes or triathletes, right? So face that fear. Doesn't matter. Maximum you come last. In fact, remind me of that story. I was doing a TED Talk a few days ago about vitality. I'm 62. And I put a picture of me going this way, finishing up the triathlon, right? And I told them, don't be fooled. This is just a pause. I came in last.
Well, we've got that in common then.
Yes, exactly. Very well. Anything on the Facebook or Instagram that you use, or you haven't dabbled into that space yet?
No, I use Facebook for personal
stuff. Personal things.
Yeah. Obviously, my family business, Serves Gourmet, that I invest in, that has a huge presence on Instagram and is a much more visual thing because it's all about food. Mm-hmm. So we put a lot of attention and effort into the visual side of that. But my natural place, I'm a read-write person. I love reading, I love writing, and so LinkedIn feels a very comfortable place.
Good. And it should be the natural place, yeah. Very good. Now let's talk about outside the digital space in speaking engagements, panels, conferences, papers. What is your visibility around that? Have you tried any of this? What do you think of that medium?
Yeah, I think speaking at events is really important, really powerful. I love doing it. It's actually, although I'm quite a shy person, I really enjoy being on a stage and I really enjoy speaking and sharing my thoughts. I think it's really important to look at the quality of the event and make sure that that's aligned with your personal profile. There are a huge number of opportunities to speak in the UAE in particular. And it's about finding the right forum to be able to do that.
Have you published somewhere, magazine, journals?
No, that's something I'm really interested in doing. I'm juggling a few balls at the moment. So I'm writing a book called Founding Hell, How to Scale a Business Without Losing Your Mind.
Nice.
So my focus is on getting my first book out, which is one of my bucket list lifelong dreams.
Yes, and it's a challenge, I tell you. It's time-consuming, wonderful challenge to have because people would remember you always with that book.
Yeah, so. I'm super excited about it, but as you say, it's like birthing a baby. It takes a long time.
Probably longer than 9 months, I tell you. My 2 books, every book took 2 years to get it to the open, right?
That makes me feel a bit better about my pace.
Sorry for that. Very good. So now we looked at the activation side. The next step is, of course, monetization. And you've done all this for a reason. You're moving to a portfolio career. What else you're doing in order to really reap the reward of your hard-earned knowledge, experience, getting out in the open, other than, having some consulting gigs here and there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate that my advisory work, people come to me and are interested in working with me. But I only have so much time. And so I need to productize Holly Joint and find a way to reach more people. And so I'm looking at courses. Obviously, there's the book. But I feel like I have an opportunity with courses to be able to share my experience, share my knowledge with more people.
Yeah, nice. That's a good channel. You could have ebooks. You could have an online course. You can have any, master classes, and do quite a bit of things to really productize Holly Joint, which is a great venture to do. We're going to go to now 2 difficult questions. Or the last 2 difficult questions, I would say. The first one is, failures are bound to happen over your career. You must have failed once or twice, but you bounced back and you learned from it. Can you share something, a failure, and most importantly, the lesson you learned, that we can give it back to the audience?
Yeah, so there have been painful experiences in my career, like anyone's had. I think one of the things that I've learned quite painfully, and I think it resonates particularly with a lot of women, is that it's not enough to be competent. I spent a lot of time in my career focusing on being very competent, and what happened was that I became the person that was always mopping things up and saving things, and people relied on me. But competence doesn't equal influence, and it doesn't equal power. And so people might rely on you to do the right thing and to get things done, but actually they don't invite you to the table, and they don't invite you to have influence, and they don't invite you to have power. And so one of my big learnings in my career has been that it's not enough to have competence. It's not enough to be useful. You have to learn to have influence as well, and you have to make space for yourself so that you do have that seat at the table.
Very nicely said. I like that. Not enough, competence is not enough. You have to have the influence, impact, and seat at the table. Very well. You worked with women before, or currently. Can you tell us what you do with the women?
Yeah, so I'm really passionate about inclusivity and making sure that, particularly in this world where our futures, our children's futures, are going to be enabled and dominated by technology, that everyone has a voice, and that people do have a seat at the table, and particularly people who are underrepresented. And I feel that it's really important that technology is not developed by engineers, with all due respect to the wonderful engineers out there. It's not a diverse enough group of people. Sure. And so I really want to make sure that people, regardless of their backgrounds, and particularly women who are accountants, lawyers, doctors, homemakers, understand the impact that technology is having on our future, understand how it impacts our children's education, and that we make sure that we're equipped and educated and making noise so that we are part of developing these products. We're not just receiving them and going, oh, this isn't how I wanted the world to work.
That's a noble mission. I think, I don't know whether you're giving it enough justice in your post and whatever, but this is really a noble mission. Let me share something with you. I had dinner last weekend with the man who authored Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Dr. John Gray, right? And in 2 hours over dinner, I had a masterclass about women differences and men differences, right? And I learned about estrogen, testosterone, dopamine, and all the related aspects that how do we communicate with each other, what goes on in your brain versus what goes on in the men's brain. And I like the fact that you said, sorry for the engineers, I'm one of the culprits. I'm an engineer in the background. So we think differently, and we code and we translate everything in the technology differently. So it was fascinating. I don't know if you read the book or you had a glimpse of that book, but it's a story on its own, right?
Many years ago. I think I'll need to go and refresh myself.
This is a 1990.
It's a classic,
yeah, it's a
isn't
classic. Exactly. Exactly. This is the last question of our podcast. And for our viewers and audience, which I could tell you who could be listening or viewing, are professionals that are thinking, what should I do in my personal brand? Should I move out? Should I do portfolio career? How do I start? Or maybe in their corporate world, building their personal brand to get promoted, to get visual, to really claim their authority and knowledge. Or could be founders, entrepreneurs that want to build personal brand not because they have the thought leadership, because maybe they don't. They didn't amass experience over the years. But they have to get credibility in order to attract investors, right? So that's a different challenge altogether for them. So this is the profile of our audience here. Now the question to you, give us 2 or 3 advice to those folks. What would you say?
Great question. So I think first of all is there's no Disney princess story. No one's going to come and rescue you. No one's going to come and find you. You've got to get yourself out there.
Okay.
You've got to be able to put yourself out there, however uncomfortable that feels. And the second thing is whenever we're embarking on a journey of transformation or scaling a business, we have to recognize something that's really hard, and that's that we can't do everything. It's something that I'm going through at the moment, and the question I'm having to ask myself, and so I'd ask your listeners, is what are you prepared to give up? We find it really hard to give things up because we get hooked onto something. So what are you prepared to give up to be successful in the thing that you want to do?
Wonderful. I never thought of that question. I'll have to go and reflect on it. Very good. Holly, thank you so much for being here, being open, authentic, transparent, and sharing your experience and your journey. I wish you great luck in your future mission, in your portfolio career, and I'm sure we'll cross path together in your new endeavor.
Thank you so much. I look forward to crossing paths with you again, and I'm learning so much from you, so keep doing it.
And for our audience, this is the close of the session today with Holly Joint. We're reminded that reinvention is both an internal decision and an external practice. Holly's journey from Oxford scholar to COO, from digital strategist to expat parent, shows us that leadership is not about the loudest voice in the room, but the clearest one. Her ability to combine data with empathy, vision, and action, and personal values with professional drive is a roadmap for anyone looking to evolve their story with intention. Again, Holly, thank you for sharing your insights, your journey, and your voice with us today. And to you, our listeners, if this episode offered clarity, courage, or simply a shift in perspective, make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone navigating their own reinvention. New guests, new stories, Reimagining You drops every Thursday at 5 p.m. Until next time, I'm Dr. Elie Daher. Thank you for listening.